Welcome back. It is the Arvo Flow Sports Hour here on Flow FM. It's time to talk basketball with our man on the ground, Dan Crouch, our basketball correspondent. Good to have you back on the airwaves again, Dan. How are you?
Good to be here, Ellis. Thanks for having me as always. I'm very well. Plenty happening in basketball world, so that'll always keep me happy.
Now, the only downside about speaking to you, Dan, is that we only get 10 minutes, and I don't know how to jam-pack or everything that's going on in basketball into the short amount of time that we've got. So let's make the most of it, starting off in the world of the NBA. Some massive trade news regarding Krie Irving, the star, who will now be calling Dallas home. Tell us what you know about this, Dan.
That's it. So Krie Irving, obviously a superstar player, has been for a long time. But off the court, there is some serious baggage. Earlier this year, he was suspended for posting anti-Semitic things on his Instagram or his Twitter page. I can't remember which. He's taken personal leave in the past and basically missed games for no specified reason. He's a flat earther, so he says. So there's serious baggage there, and he requested a trade at the start of the season and then decided that he didn't want to be traded, and he opted into his contract. And then everything was ticking along very well for the Brooklyn Nets. It looked like all the drama was past them. And then a week before the trade deadline, he said, "Nah, send me off. I don't want to be here anymore." So he's been traded to Dallas. Potentially, depending on what reports you want to believe, it sounds like Brooklyn maybe got some better offers for Krie Irving than the one Dallas gave them, but they didn't want to send him to Los Angeles. Their owner said that was sort of his objective, not to send Kyrie to the team he wanted to go to. So he'll be playing for Dallas. He'll be teaming up with Luka Doncic, which on the court is, if you want to overlook all the weird off the court stuff with Krie Irving, that is an extremely exciting duo. And there won't be a whole lot of defense being played in Dallas, but I'm very excited to see that. So in exchange, Brooklyn getting Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, and a couple of draft picks. Not much in exchange for such a talent, but when the player holds all the power like Kyrie did with this trade request and he's coming out of contract at the end of the year, Brooklyn just had to take what they could get.
Gee whiz, a flat earther just to top all that off there, Dan. Incredible. Let's talk about the Clippers v Nets game. So, as you say, the Nets, they'll be disappointed to lose Kyrie. So tell us about this recent game between these two teams.
Well, the Nets they've lost their second best player now. Their best player, Kevin Durant, already on the sidelines injured. So they'll be wanting to get him back as soon as possible to lead their new look team now and see if they've got any hope of making any noise in the playoffs this year. But for the time being, with both of them sidelined, they've found an absolute gem in a young man named Cam Thomas. He's in the two games since Krie Irving's been absent, he's scored 47 and 44 points. So 91 points in a two-game span is just unbelievable for someone who was buried on the end of their bench for the whole season until now. So, they didn't get the win against the Clippers. Very good Clippers lineup and against a very undermanned Nets lineup. But nevertheless, they found an absolute gem with him. So I, for one, am very excited to see what they're going to do the rest of the season. Of course, I've got a couple of Australians on the team in Ben Simmons and Patty Mills who are big contributors there as well. But, with the emergence of Cam Thomas, it'll be interesting to see what the new look Nets look like.
Let's talk about the current champions, Golden State Warriors, in their game against the Thunder. How did you see this one play out, Dan?
Yeah, they haven't looked like the current champions for much of the year. They've looked pretty much hopeless anytime they've had to play on the road, and they've had their superstar, Steph Curry, out for a lot of the year. He's been in and out with a couple of injuries, and he's back on the outer with a leg injury at the moment. But in his absence, his Splash brother, backcourt teammate Klay Thompson stepped up, dropping 12 threes and scoring 40-odd points as they dominated the Thunder. So if Klay can keep playing like that, they're still going to be a tough team to beat. And even if they scrape into the last playoff spot, they're not a team you'd really want to come up against in the playoffs. They've got all the experience. They'll hopefully have Steph Curry healthy by then. But it was an easy win for Golden State in this one. And when Klay Thompson's shooting like that, as we've seen many, many times in the past, they're a very tough outfit to beat, no matter who else is on the court.
Now, these elite ballers in the NBA, Dan, they're obviously big guys, but I don't know where some of them get this extreme level of confidence from. So LeBron James has come out today. This is him, a quote verbatim. "I feel like I'm the best basketball player that ever played the game." It's as simple as that, really, Dan. He rates himself.
He does, and honestly, in my opinion, there's probably only a handful of guys who can say something like that, and all you can really do is sit back and go, you know what, you might have a point there. And yeah, LeBron James is one, Michael Jordan's another, Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. There's not many at all. So I love the confidence, and I think 20 years playing at the highest level, he's absolutely earned the right to have that much confidence. He's got nothing left to prove, pretty much. Doesn't mean he's got nothing left to accomplish. He's still out there competing for championships, still arguably the best player in the league, pretty much. And I didn't think we would ever see someone touch Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's all-time scoring record, but LeBron James right up there now, and he's just going to keep going. I mean, Kareem set it at 38,000 something, and LeBron's going to keep going until he's scored 40, 41, maybe 42,000, which is just unbelievable for a guy who is probably more of a pass-first player. Like, scoring comes as second nature to him. He's just so dominant. So, he's no doubt one of the best 2 or 3 or 4 guys to ever play the game. Maybe even is the best to ever do it. But my vote still goes to Michael Jordan, but I think LeBron's closing the gap.
I'm going to throw a hypothetical curveball your way, Dan. If it weren't for the tragic passing of the great Kobe Bryant, how far would he have taken LeBron, do you reckon?
Oh, I mean, you never know. He was a great mentor to LeBron, and obviously LeBron playing for the Lakers now, sort of carrying on Kobe's legacy. You just never really know. But Kobe passed, and I think a lot of people stopped having the Kobe versus LeBron debates. For me personally, I think LeBron went past Kobe a long time ago. Had a few more strings to his bow, but Kobe was an absolute legend in his own right as well, and you'd never disparage someone for saying Kobe was a better player either. Certainly 2 of the best to ever do it.
All right, let's move out of the States and back home, Dan, and talk about the NBL. So firstly, we'll discuss the awards from last night. So the penultimate showcasing of the finest talents in the NBL on display for everyone to see. What did you what were your takeaways from this, Dan?
Look, not too many massive surprises. I think Xavier Cook's winning the MVP was pretty much to be expected. Best player on the best team. That's generally who wins that award in any league, in any sport. If you can be the best player on the best team, you're gonna be in pretty good shape to win that. I think the big story for me was Keanu Pinder from the Cairns Taipans winning Most Improved for the second year in a row. So, I mean, that's just unheard of to make that much improvement in back-to-back seasons. Normally, you win the award once, and no matter how much you improve the next year, the narrative's sort of, oh well, he made the leap last year, so it's got to be someone else this year. But no, he was no doubt the rightfully the most improved player for a second year in a row. Was named for the All-NBL second team as well, so named as one of the best 10 players in the entire league. The strides that he's made have just been absolutely monumental. And best defensive player going to one of Adelaide's own, Antonius Cleveland. And of course I say Adelaide's own. He's not from Adelaide. He's from the States. He's an import, but he's playing for the 36ers, and he's been an excellent import. Averaging nearly 2 steals a game while being a good offensive threat as well. A real worthy winner there, but unfortunately not enough to propel the 36ers into playoff calculations. So another down year for their long-suffering fans.
Well, we're into the NBL final phase for this season, so we're talking about the play-in tournament. Tell us more about this, Dan.
Yeah, so we touched on it last week, adopting the NBA model of the play-in tournament. Basically, couple of extra teams get a little taste of the playoffs, and instead of going straight into a playoff series, the top couple of teams get the bye week, while the next little group battle for those last couple of playoff spots just in a single game elimination. That will be very exciting. We've got Southeast Melbourne Phoenix playing the Perth Wildcats and the Cairns Titans playing the Tassie Jack Jumpers. So 4 teams, 2 spots up for grabs. So it'll be very interesting to see how that all plays out.
Certainly looking forward to talking more about it with you next week. Dan Crouch, our basketball expert here on The Flow. Great to have been with you again talking NBA and NBL this week. We'll speak to you next week. All the best.
Likewise, Ellis. Always a pleasure. We'll speak to you then.